guess made an earlier 2 days ago, but of course I've learned to be a little light on the videos only because that it's not as grounded. You know what I mean? To produce so many, I feel right now that I'm getting used to it. It should be done in a moderate pace, right? But still, like to openly apologize for not making a video yesterday and the day before that. But yet, um, the reason why I'm making a video today is because I was outside, right? And I was trying to, just do whatever it is that I have to do. And what ended up happening was that these religious people come up to me and they ended up trying to proselytize me. First of all, I would like to bring this up before I even continue. We know this channel is about Satan. We know it's to glorify him. But yet, I'm very open to when it comes to learning new things. But then I stop being very open or even considerate when the other party is not respectfully understanding my position. So, in other words, once I say I'm not interested in what your message is, even though I've listened, but then when it came to a point where the individual they they wanted to just continue, and that's what really bothered me, because it bothered me because once I helped them to appreciate that I'm not interested in the message, I'm not interested in their God, and I stated reasons on why I'm not interested in their God. Like for example, I gave the something not too heavy, something that we could all relate to, and respectfully I helped the person to appreciate that. Hey, look, your God is temperamental and he's very petty. I didn't say your God, but meaning like in a confrontational way, but even though it is their God. But I brought up points like that, and they got really upset and offended by it, and you could tell by the expression of their faces. Both of them looked at each other, they looked back at me, and then they said, some people like to look at the Bible and look for errors, look for confrontation so that they could, revel in their sin. And I thought that was the most heinous thing to really say to someone, because to me, that's mental gymnastics, because what you're doing is that you're giving up your humanity and you're siding with a moral thug, as Matt Delahanty would say. You see, this Bible that you're pretty much trying to convert me into believing is nothing but blood magic, blood sacrifice, and all this other stuff. And it is true that he's very angry all the time and temperamental, even though he's known to be a happy individual. And I get that. I'm open to that because just how I am. I'm very open. I'm not here to bash. But even as someone who loves what they do in Satan, I don't care about what the images of other individual that claim to be Satanists, and they want to burn churches, they want to, sacrifice and, animals and stuff like that. That is not me. And that was the second point that they were bringing out, how people in ancient times did things like that, which is true. I'm not going to argue that, which is true. And then there's God trying to stop it. But then I just had to stop them there, because now I'm like, but that doesn't make sense, because why would this your God try to stop other cultures from doing that if they were doing the same thing? I understand a little bit about the Bible enough where when they did sacrifice animals, that priest was also the butcher, so to speak. He was to kill the animal, sacrifice the parts that God wanted, and then give the other parts to the person. Or at least that's what I was told. But I do remember reading the Bible myself, because if you remember, I was also on the other side. I was a Christian, and I was those people speaking to me. So it's like I do recall the Bible doing that. Like, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, wants the fatty pieces because it was the best parts to him, and he likes that as an offering. So I understand. So it's not like I don't know the Bible and I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm just saying no just for the fuck of it. I'm saying no because I was on, your side of the fence. I understood, but it's not for me. And then they just got really riled up, and then they're like, well, you know what? Because you told us you was a part of our religion, it just must mean that something went wrong. And I just felt like the person was still patronizing me because, again, the person, as I was observing them, obviously they were a lot older than me. So because there was trouble in paradise, so to speak, and I left, that I definitely labeled myself unknowingly as this devil, this Satan, because when, if you follow the Christian theology, Satan was ousted. He was kicked out of heaven. So obviously, in a Christian's mind, the devil did something wrong. He is automatically the bad guy, and because he was kicked out, that obviously I was kicked out, and that must mean that something was wrong. And I grant them that. Good, you understand that I used to be with you. That's number one, and two, I left because there was an ordeal. But interestingly, the ordeal wasn't so much because I hate God or anything like that. The ordeal is that I kept on following the evidence, and the evidence led me right out of that religion. See, when you think about cults like the Jehovah's Witness group or any group, you think about Mormonism, Scientology, these groups, they have a cult like attribute to them where it's like they want to try to, they teach you through emotion. So, in other words, they want to guilt trip you to stay. They want to guilt trip you to even to come back to them. So, by asking me that there was trouble, there was an ordeal, and trying to patronize me, or how I saw it as patronizing me, to come back, I get it from their viewpoint. It's them trying to save another individual. It's salvation, and I understand it, but not to a point where I'm giving you reasons that I'm not interested, and I'm giving you reasons to a point where it's like, I get it that this is what you're doing, and this is me. I'm playing both sides. I'm letting them understand that I know the same thing that you know, and I'm defending myself on why I do not want to go back because I was following evidence. Once I saw that it was a cult like religion, a doomsday religion, and mind you, to be fair, I was told that many times for years in that religion, but I never paid attention to it. Because when you deal with cults like that, Mormonism, Scientology, people do in fact tell you, hey, look, you got to get out of that, get the fuck out of Dodge. But obviously, you're not going to buy into that because it's it's not your time yet. You know what I mean? It's just not your time yet, so you end up staying due to um, your parents, it's tradition, you, or whatever it may be. But the idea is, I had put before these people so much evidence that I'm just not interested. And I thought I would share that with you because I personally feel that when you know that you are convinced, friends, all you guys who are watching, that you are convinced that you love what you do, no matter what it is. But in my case, it's the black arts, right? If I'm convinced this is what I do, and you're convinced in what you do, I'm gonna borrow a phrase from the Joker when he spoke to Batman, and he says, he is like an unstoppable wind, and Batman is an unmovable object. So, in other words, you think about opposition, you think about being stubborn, you think about someone who is just downright just convinced in what they do. If it's an unstoppable wind that meets an unmovable object, then we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. And I find that really sad that people still believe that they hold what is called an absolute truth. I'm not claiming that there is no such thing as an absolute truth. I'm saying that I don't like it when people make their claims to be unfalsifiable. At least I know that what I do, it's falsifiable. So in other words, I could look at what I do and I could say, if I'm wrong, I could look at my relationship with Satan. I could look at what I do and I could see why it's wrong in other people's viewpoints. And I could also understand why I was once wrong in certain aspects of the left hand path. Like, for example, I used to believe that Satan was a liar. Even though coming into Satanism, I knew that was a wrong approach, but it was always there due to, just many years of being indoctrinated. But yet I knew that I had to change. And I did. That is being falsifiable. I'm able to look at what I do, and I could even look within my most earliest cherished dreams of being a Christian when I was just new coming into it. And I could see where I was wrong there. I could see when I was wrong now, because that tells me that I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to add something new to the table. And I'm able to do that while still remaining true to myself. I mean, after all, either I realized it at that point when I was a Christian or not, I still did not believe fully in this God that would just kill people, his own people, send them away into slavery, have them murdered and killed, and still say, I am a good person. I am a good God. Now, a fundamental Christian will tell you, hey, look, that's pretty much God's ways, and God is, you know, um, His law is the highest thing in the universe. But then I'm like, is that really the case if you're murdering people's children? I mean, I get it. If you create, you could destroy it, and I understand it. But to me, I'm about principle. I'm about truth, and I'm about following the evidence. So if you are who you say you are, then you would not act that way. You would not say, "Here are commandments. Here's is what this is. Here are laws on what not to do," and then break these laws. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying he broke all the laws, but I'm just saying when it comes to certain things like thou shalt not murder, and then seconds later just kill someone because they wasn't patient with you. It's like really, why was murder or death the only answer? How come you couldn't just, I don't know, teach the individual? You know what I mean? Why is death always the answer with this guy? Why is he always wanting to do things like that? But anyway, I just thought that I would make that video because perhaps you friends felt the same way. Perhaps at home you grew up and your parents try to get you to believe what they believe, and respectfully, you went along with it like myself, but you didn't ultimately take to it because it just didn't click with you. And I'm here to say today is like, that's okay to not to agree with what someone tells you. Hell, you could not agree to what I am telling you right now. It's the truth. See, I'm willing to look at what I say and what I do and understand that a lot of people don't have to believe what I believe. But again, before I end this video, once you say that you have something that is unfalsifiable or it's an absolute truth, you see, the burden of proof is on you. And if you point them to their own holy scriptures and you point them to just imperfection as a whole, and how you're able to use mental gymnastics while looking at your holy book, peering deep within it, and then trying to convince me that your God is still holy and is unfalsifiable and he has the only truth, that's going to be pretty difficult to settle. Well, anyway, those are my 2 cents. Friends, if you have any comments, what would you do if you were in a situation, if you was not raised in a religious household, an atheist household, but yet what brought you to the left-hand path? Perhaps you were in a conundrum, like I was when I was a kid, and you try to find. Comment down below, subscribe to this channel if need be, because I have tons of work that I would like to just send your way so that you guys could better appreciate the information, okay? I love you all. Thank you. And of course, Hail Satan. Bye.